Can everyone hold on to something? Just hold on to something here because I'm about to shock you, all right? I'm going to agree with lefties. Just for a second, all right?
My job is done.
That's why I'm here, to help you, Paul.
OK. I think we do have to increase Newstart. Now, I think that the truth is that we have to make sure that people who don't have a job, who need to rely upon welfare in between jobs, need to be able to maintain a 2019 existence. It doesn't mean champagne lifestyle beer budget. It doesn't mean they should be paid the minimum wage. It doesn't mean they should be getting, anywhere near generous. But the concept that this thing has been pegged while everything else goes up because the number of people getting it causes trouble. So my suggestion is this. I think that in exchange for a higher rate, you agree that you'll only take it for 6 months rather than the 12 months, because you are going to use it as a payment between jobs. If you intend, and then you don't have to do the work for the dole, you don't have to do anything else, it is clearly a supplemental payment, but the second the 6 months runs out, you're on your own. I know nobody's ever going to agree with that as an idea, but how do we all feel about the concept, whether the dole, let's not call it anything else, whether the dole is enough in this country for the people, including a lot of older people watching us right now who the recruiters in their 20s think as soon as you've got a 4, a 5 or a 6 in front of your age, bugger it, you're useless. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the kid who's, smoking bongs in Byron Bay. I'm talking about the unemployed older workers of Australia.
Well, look, I think I'm with you, Paul. I think the rate needs to rise. I think there'll be the review, and I think that will be a healthy process, and hopefully we can get bipartisan support. But to go to that worker you've just described, the worker in their 40s or 50s laid off, manufacturing's closed down, I don't think you can give them a 6-month time limit, because there's no jobs, potentially for them to go into, and they can apply for a lot. So I think that's where you get the problem of saying, oh, we've got to have a hard deadline like that. So I don't think you can win me over on that one.
No, but what I'm trying to I'm wondering out loud, OK? But it's about the idea that the people who take the higher rate are the ones who take the shorter period of time because they expect to be able to get back into the market. Those that aren't going to be able to, well, then they have to change their lifestyle to match what that lower rate is. Again, I'm just thinking out loud, Gary, but I can see you wincing, moving and leaning forward here. Is this the worst idea you've ever heard?
No, look, Paul, I mean, I understand. I empathise with people in that circumstance, but, everything is very finely balanced here. And if you provide it as too much sit-down money, then the comparison to pensioners, people who've actually earned a living, worked hard and paid their taxes, have now retired and get a government benefit, or self-funded retirees or whatever, the relativities are all going to be about out of whack. Your point about a limited amount of time is reasonable, but I think the activity test is the key thing here, Paul. And, particularly when we still don't know, on the basis of the polls, Bill Shorten becoming Prime Minister on Saturday, we still do not know the impact to the economy of the $357 million in additional taxes, the 400 and something or other $100 million in additional costs associated with climate change policies. He won't actually tell us what the real costs. So the picture is a whole bunch of industries are going to disappear, a whole bunch of jobs are going to disappear, and a whole bunch of people are going to lose jobs as a result of Bill Shorten's uncosted, unannounced policies. Paul, this is the problem. How can I make a commitment to you tonight about increasing Newstart when there might be hundreds of thousands of extra people actually having to line up for it, and there'll be less and less people paying tax because Bill Shorten actually hasn't come up with the honesty to give us the numbers. The guy just isn't cut out for this job. He just does not get it.
Fair point. Pauline, what's your view about this? And again, I'm thinking out loud, but when I think out loud, it doesn't become a story for the Channel 9 press for the next 3 days. So I don't want you to think out loud here, but generally the idea about whether the dole is enough in 2019.
It's not enough, Paul, and I totally agree with you. For someone to live on $277 a week, in today's days and times when they've got to pay the rent that they have to, even if it's half rent, they might possibly most of the time looking at probably $150 just to have a room in a house, $150, $180 a week. Then if you've got to share electricity on top of that, I know running a household, you may be looking at say $30 to $50 a week electricity that they pay. Getting public transport is terribly expensive as well. Now, why I support this, they've got to be given a chance, and I like your whole idea of say, OK, we're going to give you a hand up, not a handout for indefinitely, and I think that's very, very good. When Bill Shorten's talking about carbon credits and could see millions, hundreds of millions of dollars go overseas to other countries to buy carbon credits, which is a waste of money. I see over $4 billion a year go to foreign aid and to Papua New Guinea, which I've spoken to members in Parliament about this, they know there is corruption there, and we pay them about $550 million a year, where some of those ministers are actually buying apartments and houses here in Australia with it, and there's so much corruption. Then we have opened up Indonesia for them to actually double the numbers of people coming over here for jobs. We have 457 visa holders, the numbers coming in Australia for jobs. We have foreign students of over 300,000 a year that are entitled to work here in this country. No wonder there are no jobs here for the kids and people in areas, because we have so many people coming in taking our jobs and increased migration that is taking jobs here. Yes, we've got to look after our own people, and it is disgusting what pensioners have to strive on. They want to take the money from the self-funded retirees, you know, franking credits, and then people living in poverty. I actually believe that we should actually give them a helping hand. It is not going to be for 20 or 30 or 40 years. Those people should be reined in. There should be more investigation into these child care centres. The money's that ripped off there. Two brothers, years ago, $27 million ripped off in the child care. That's been a big rip-off. That's happening all the time. Yes, it is. So there is money to be saved if the government has the will to start investigating where the money is going, how it's spent, and give it to where it's really needed and people who will do the right thing by the taxpayers.